Welcome, everybody, to the Three Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and this is episode number 280. And today's podcast, our friend Adam Maxwell is back on the show, and we discuss goal setting for the upcoming Three Gun season. We cover how to make goals that work, the goals that we have for the 2020 season, and then we offer a couple suggestions on where to start with your goal setting if you're having a mental block or you just need some suggestions of your own. But before we get into that, I have another special guest for us this morning, and that is our good friend Ruben Alexson of Vortex Optics. Ruben, welcome to the intro, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dave. This is a unique space to be. I've never been in the intro.
I'm not sure anyone has. So
it's weird. It doesn't have any walls, and it's
I know.
White and
what do we do from here? It's uncharted territory. This is like 280 episodes in, and we're always trying stuff new. So thanks for being here, man. We taking some time out of your day to talk about the Razor Gen 3 1-10 first focal plane scope that just came out yesterday as I record this, but just a few days ago as folks are listening to this. And you kind of shook things up, Ruben. We were expecting like an incremental jump from the 1-6 to like maybe a 1-8 because we've been loving that 1-6 for so many years. But you guys made a couple jumps and just went straight to 10. What's going on with the development of that one?
Yeah, I think a huge thanks to all of our competitive shooting friends and the guys doing the Lord's work that made the 1-6 a very successful, popular optic. So that scope has been out since about 2012, late 2012, I believe. And we knew with the success of that optic and just the durability and optical quality that we had big shoes to fill with that one if we ever came out with a scope that was to eventually someday probably be the successor to that scope. And so with the development cycle on Gen 3, we had a very very goal-oriented process. I mean, it was we knew what we wanted to do, and we had very specific specifications for field of view and for weight and for optical quality and stuff like that in terms of nerdy optics talk. So knowing that those big shoes were there to fill from the Gen 2 1-6, we really kind of took our time, and I think, like you said, a lot of people kind of expected a couple of years ago a 1-8 option or something like that when some of the other players in the marketplace were coming out with 1-8s in the first focal plane scope. And the reason why you didn't see that from us was we had, like I said, we had those goals and really wanted to step it up in terms of what this Gen 3 product did. And kind of one of our thought processes was we wanted it to really replace a couple of optics. For a long time, you saw a fixed 10 power scope as a sniper or a marksman scope in terms of military or law enforcement use, and that was kind of seemed like that was the baseline for magnification in terms of what you needed for that application. And so with the 1-10 optical design being very complex, we knew we really needed to perfect it before we could come out with anything. And so in our eyes, the 1-6 fills a very, very specific role. It kind of gives you a low power variable magnification system, will give you like a 1 power on 1X, obviously, with a very kind of heads up feel. The 1-6 is, daylight bright center dot. Always give you the same kind of usability and really the same purpose as like using a red dot sight or a holographic sight. And
yeah,
the speed that you get from a 1X is really cool. And we've seen kind of the 3-gun space go towards that 1-6, 1-8, 1-something. And so to take the place of a couple of different optics, to take the place of the 1-6, and to take the place of a red dot, and to take the place of a kind of a designated marksman type of optic, or even starting to touch that sniper scope type of space, the 1-10 was really what we wanted to shoot for. And so, like I said, it took us a couple of years of kind of the development cycle to get that right. And About a year and a half ago, we started having those, those optics out in the space, competitive shooting and military law enforcement application type stuff. Guys testing them, guys running them really hard and seeing, getting feedback to us. And we took the feedback very seriously. There's a couple of different revisions that were made after we started getting them out into the field and seeing what the end user ultimately wanted. So looking at this scope, you've got a first focal plane reticle design. So it's there's a mill option, and then there's a BDC, MOA based BDC option. And you can tell when you're looking at them side by side, the BDC is really, it's built for speed. It's built for that application where time is of the essence. The mill option is actually very precise scope while still having that speed on 1x. If you zoom the optic in on the reticle, you'll see kind of a 4-segmented, I guess a lot of people would refer to it as like a donut around the center dot. And that's really what is gathering that reflection off of the LED. And so when you dial down to 1 power, you've got that kind of cluster of dots really shrinks down into what appears to be one very daylight bright center dot. So that's what gives us the ability in first focal plane to still have that 1x usability as a red dot. Whereas looking at like the Gen 2, that's actually powered by an LED through a fiber optic, basically fiber optic cable that comes back and the user sees the end of the cable. So they're different in the way that we illuminate the center dot. However, the end user really should just see on both optics on 1 power, they should just see a dot. So
interesting.
And then the reticles, as you zoom in, it's first focal plane. So one of the the absolute biggest benefit of first focal plane reticle is to be able to use the subtensions for whether it be for elevation hold or windage hold on any magnification, whereas on a second focal plane, you're stuck on the max power on that. So just overall, a ton of usability. If you had to pick one optic, it's probably going to be the optic. If you need the versatility of a red dot but the precision of a high power scope, it's pretty cool, and we're really excited to see how our customers accept it, and hopefully it serves the need that we've been hearing from them for years. So a couple other things that we always heard made the 1-6 such a special optic was just kind of the generous eye relief and the very forgiving eye box. When I say eye box, I'm talking about how much you can kind of fudge your head back and forth and up and down and side to side when you're behind the optic. It's one of the benefits of a red dot is that you don't have that designated eye relief. And so being that the 1-6 had such a generous eye relief and such a forgiving eye box was that you didn't really have to have your head in a perfect position. And when whether it be in competition or another application, the real benefit is that we don't always have the time to do stuff like that. So to get that perfect cheek weld on the stock, and so we wanted to carry that through into the Gen 3. And if you've ever looked through a high power rifle scope, you probably know that eye position behind the scope becomes more critical as you gain magnification. And so it was definitely a challenge for the engineers and designers of this optic to make sure that it had the same feel as the 1-6. And so kind of what we did was started off wanting to have very similar, field of view specifications at the high end. And of course, being a 10 power, it's going to be a bit narrower field of view in terms of the actual nominal figure. But the eye box and eye relief are very generous. I would put them on par or better than the 1-6 Razor. And then just optical clarity specs, resolution, things like spherical aberration that you would expect to get worse as you go up in magnification. Kind of started out with a very high standard and just worked backwards from there. And I think in the end, product development team really really came out with something pretty special.
Yeah, they sure did. And I'm looking at both reticles here, and I mean, they both look like super useful. It's going to be tough to pick one out, but the biggest thing that I've heard from folks so far is like, well, how's the eye box? How's the eye box? So that's great to hear that it still maintains the generous eye box that we're used to on like the 1-6, because like you said, it is a fast optic because we can get behind it so fast in 3-gun and do goofy things with our rifles and make those transitions fast that we're not normally used to. So that is a big benefit. One of the other things that you mentioned, Ruben, that I wanted to go back to is the 10 power being like the basis for like military sniper applications. It made me think of the scopes that most of my friends hunt with are like 3x9. That's like has been the gold standard for like the last 20, 30 years or something like that. And one of the interesting things that happened yesterday when y'all announced this scope is my hunting buddies started crawling out of the woodworks and sending me texts about the scope and asking me questions because they know that I work with you guys. And all my hunting buddies are now pumped about this, and something that they can have like a true 1X on, and the power that they're used to in their normal hunting scope, and like maybe just a one scope option for their entire lifestyle.
Yeah, I think especially if you're the type of person that's using maybe like a similar mounting system, like one-piece cantilever mount or something like that, and you can transition it from, say, your competition rifle over to your predator hunting rifle or your hog hunting rifle or something like that. And especially as people start to really hunt more and more with AR-15s and AR-10s, especially even in deer hunting application or big game application, this is something that, are you going to spend a little bit more on the optic up front? Yeah, you will, but you don't necessarily need to buy 3 or 4 different optics to fill 3 or 4 different applications. It kind of does have that dual really purpose, looking at the magnification range, and then of course like the weight is very light. It is lighter than what a lot of people would say like a lightweight hunting scope, being 15, 18 to 20 ounces. It falls right in, like our AMG 6-24 is about 28 ounces, and it's regarded as a very, very good option for that kind of that backpacker hunter. And of course you're saving about 8 ounces or 7.5 ounces off the AMG or something like that. So the weight isn't even something that you would need to worry about, even though a lot of people may think that that 10 power optical system would be really heavy. Maintaining that weight was also a kind of a goal. So yeah, I think it's pretty exciting seeing different applications, especially again, like whether it be that competition shooter, military law enforcement professional, a hunter. Even have heard over the last couple of days guys talking about putting it on like a guide rifle for going up in Alaska for dangerous game type stuff. So
yeah, that makes complete sense too. All right, well, so a super useful, super versatile option just came out for scopes. The Razor HD Gen 3 1-10 first focal plane. Excited about the first focal plane to play around with that one in 3-gun as well. The 3-gun world right now, just everybody seems to be talking about it. So it'll be fun to see when we start getting a lot of people out there playing with these out there. So Ruben, thanks for being on the show this morning, and thank you to Vortex Optics for continuing to innovate and provide cool new stuff for us to like, to shoot, and to talk about here on the 3-Gun Show. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, and a huge thanks for the 3-Gun community providing that feedback to us. I mean, really, that's where we get our motivation, and that's why you see us out at matches, is to connect with the community and see what people really want. So thanks to the 3-Gun community for kind of welcoming us with open arms over the last decade, really. And it's been a treat, and especially working with you, Dave. I know that you and I have talked about stuff too that the application needs, and you've always provided input. So huge thanks to you and your supporters too.
Happy to help, man. Thanks, Ruben. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.
This podcast is brought to you by the good folks at JP Enterprises, the finest rifle components built by people that actually shoot the games you do. They don't sell gimmicks, just the most accurate and soft shooting rifles that anyone could want, and they do it with a smile. After years of buying select JP parts to finish off my own builds, I finally own a complete JP rifle, an LRP-07 in 6.5 Creedmoor, and I recommend them both. If you want to build yourself a new 3-gun blaster in the off-season, pick up a cryo-treated Supermatch barrel and all their other go-fast parts from JP. If you're not into building and you just want to buy it now and be ready to race, JP's got you covered there. Either way, visit jprifles.com. And finally, before we get started here, I want to encourage you to head on over to the 3-Gun Show Pro Shop. That is 3gunshowproshop.com to see the products that we have available there. We have the Razor Gen 3 1-10 on pre-order, and we've got several people in line right now, and we are allotted several in our first wave, and we haven't completely sold out the first wave there. So if you do want yours, get your pre-order in now, 3gunshowproshop.com, and we will send it to you as soon as the first wave ships out of the Vortex factory in April. That's all I've got for now, so enjoy this podcast on goal setting with Adam Maxwell.
Hey, Max, welcome back to the show. Very first podcast of 2020.
First guest of the year. Nailed it.
Dude, and you almost made last guest too. Kitzmiller got you on that one.
Son of a.
Yep, dove in at the last minute with a, hey, I'm going to be in your town, which is the right way to get on the podcast, by the way, because that's awesome.
I'm going to text him an eggplant right now.
Does he like eggplant? I don't even know what that means.
Right? I mean, I hear he's a fan.
All right. So, hey, Max, how was your Christmas?
It was good, man. I mean, it's always big. The Maxwell clan is kind of spread out across the upper Midwest, so it's usually a bit of a journey. And now Rachel's from Northern Illinois, so we cover from Northern Illinois up to Minnesota, probably about 6 to 8 different small family/friend group gatherings in that
Lord.
time span. So once we got back to our house, it was kind of like, oh, it's over. Just gonna sit here and play Farm Simulator for a while and relax.
Yeah. Farm boys in the winter play Farm Simulator. Apparently,
it's not just for winter. It's pretty much Adam's recharge process. It's the thing Adam does that doesn't have anything to do with guns.
That's a good one. I like it. So New Year's just happened. Did you sit around and contemplate all the things that happened in 2019 and look back and think of like how far you've come?
I mean, once you hit about November, I'd say for me, it kind of sets in about the time where I realize like this is the last match for the year, or it's winding down, or like when the club series ends and the last majors happen, it's like, well, when people ask me when's my next match, and I don't know, because we get to that time of year where the dates aren't out yet and things like that. Like I could speculate, but so when we kind of have this hard freeze on it for a while, that's when I do start to think about it and kind of reflect on likes, dislikes, and what we want different for next year. But it's always the season's just such a blur, even though like there really is no off season anymore. It all seems to happen so fast, and then all of a sudden it's November, and where do we go? And we're talking about SHOT Show again,
Yeah,
So-
that's for sure. And I've kind of found myself the same way. Like I'm just running around like with chicken with my head cut off all year, and you don't really have time to look up and realize where you're at. And one thing I'm gonna do for this year is I'm gonna actually write the matches down that I go to, because I look back and I'm like, God, what did I shoot this year? Like, I know my favorite match. I'm sorry.
So I'm going to do that too.
Yeah.
Measurable, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So,
I know my favorite match of the year, and maybe we can talk about that in a minute here. And I know like some of the bigger stuff that I did content wise at matches, and I guess from there, I just kind of retrace my steps to where I went. I'll go on YouTube and figure out where I was then.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, 2019 was a big year, I think, for both of us. And maybe a lot of the listeners, they know us in this capacity. They don't know the back end story of it, but I think both of us in our own way had a lot of like business development and professional stuff we were doing. It's in the industry, but while it was all happening, there was a lot of things that didn't have anything to do with the scoreboard happening too. And I think that kind of was a theme or a tone for 2019. And talking in the pre-show a little bit, I think both of us want to maybe pay a little bit more attention to results and performance-based goals for 2020 to kind of reset the direction in playing the game.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm not a real big resolution guy. I don't know if you do that, but I don't do resolutions, and I haven't for at least a couple decades since I was and pretty much since I was in college. I think I stopped doing resolutions, and what I kind of did was like laid out some goals for the year that I like to do, and now within like the past 6 to 8 years or something, if I want to do something, I don't wait until Monday or the next month or the next year to do it. I implement it then, or at least take small steps to implement it then. Another great thing that, so, I mean, if you haven't figured out, we're here to talk about goals, but another great thing that I heard one time from Scott Adams, who's the creator of Dilbert, on a podcast, he was saying that, actually, this might have been in one of his books, because I've listened to several of his books and they're all amazing. But one of the things that he said is like, what can I do when I set about this goal, that even if I fail that goal, even if I don't fully achieve this goal, I will still be in a better position than I am in now. And so that's kind of the theme that I'm going with on the stuff that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to kind of say the same thing. Like, if I'm very goal oriented. But if I want to change something, I'm going to start today. Like, if you're really going to do it, if you really want to, you got to start today. Like, if you put it off for a month, well, when that month comes around, you're going to be busy too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, if it's important enough to do, it's important enough to start right now. So that's where it's kind of, I do have to think a little bit when it's like, well, what are my goals for the year, or, to stop, to cut last year off and keep going. Cause like you're living in the present, right? I mean, present's constantly becoming the past, and you keep getting future plans. Like there's no break, like in the calendar, it just keeps flowing.
Well, and
so
time is an illusion. So
yeah. So, I mean, to quantitatively sit down and think about it is something that's a little bit different. I always just kind of I just like decide like, oh, this bugs me, I'm going to fix this, or I want to do this, so I'm going to go in that direction.
Yeah, but, that's where I'm at as well. So, I think with having a like off season or a break, in the 3-gun season, and like this year I have taken an off season. Like I've pushed off several club matches that I normally shoot, or that I would want to shoot, just because like I flat needed a break from all the fun, to recharge, to re-energize, to regroup, to count my rounds to see how much I have left and stuff like that, and plan for the future. So that's where I'm at right now, and that small little pause right there, I think, gives me the opportunity to look forward and see what I want to do. So yeah, so that's how I create goals. I kind of figure out like what what do I want to do, and then how can I work about achieving that goal, or work toward that goal, with the thought of like, even if I don't achieve that goal, or if I fail that goal, what can I do to make myself be in a better position than when I started?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So an example of that would be like with the I guess
like if you go set about to get classified as a GM in USPSA, right? Even if you go out, you get classified as A class or master, you're still classified, and all the practice you put in to be a GM is going to make you a better pistol shooter anyway. So that's like one small example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, let's qualify a little bit of rules of the road for goal setting. You know, obviously, if you're listening, Dave and I have prepared some goals to share with you. But like, what is goal setting? What is productive goal setting? Because if you talk to guys like our friends the Joshes or Kits Miller or Dylan Easley, if you talk to any of those guys and say, what are your goals? They have very specific things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a good productive goal has certain parameters.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not familiar with goal setting, maybe let's spell out some of what those are. We're talking, there's the business world has come up with all kinds of fun acronyms and
do you want me to say the one that we used to use at Lockheed that was SMART goals? And your goal has to be specific.
Smart.
Yeah, SMART has to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So a specific goal is like, I want to place top 10 at a match. Measurable, top 10 right there,
Right.
Attainable, is that within your ability? If you're currently in the bottom 10, probably not. Maybe you should make it a longer term goal, like a 2-year to 3-year goal. But if you're busting on the door of top 20, it could be reasonable. So that's relevant. And then time bound. By when? By, like, say that you've got several matches leading up, and then Generation 3 gun in September. So that's the match that you're going to choose. That's where Generation 3 gun is where I make my stand. That's where I want to be top 10. So that's time bound.
Yes. And like, so I think it's important that you don't have to necessarily, I mean, if you're doing this as a hobby, I don't know that you have to follow all those steps, but it's key to know that like a goal, if you have the goal of like shoot better or,
what is better?
Yeah. Don't DQ. I would say goals of the pros are never negative. So whenever you have a new shooter that says things like, oh, well, my goal is not to DQ. Okay. Congratulations.
Yeah. A better goal would be, my goal is to have a safe match.
Yeah. To shoot through the whole match, kind of a positive connotation.
Yeah.
Of, it's very natural for people to dwell on the negative. I think it's just human nature. So if you are trying to take your game to the next level, you need to be positively oriented. You need to set your goals on achievement, not on avoiding failure.
Yeah,
I think so. Like when you talk to those names that we mentioned, they will never say my goal is not to be outside the top 10. Maybe very rarely would they say something like that. I think even if they did, they evolved past that at some point. But like people who are really winning on a consistent basis, their goal is to win. Their goal is not to not be in the top 5.
Right.
So orient them that way, and then from there, once you set your goal that is finite and definable and attainable, a good goal, you can then pretty intuitive, especially if you write it down on a piece of paper, write that as the head, the headline, and then underneath that, you should be able to pretty easily bullet point, like, okay, so what kind of things would I need to do to achieve that?
Yeah.
You could a good goal, you could probably break down into a concise 3 to 5 things that would be components of achieving that goal.
And I've talked to Ken Nelson about like a similar topic. He calls back planning, and you start with like the goal in mind. Like what do we want to have? We want to have like an epic match that people love and want to come back to. Okay, well, how do we do that? And then you back plan from there. What specific big components does it take to go into that? And so, like Amax said, if you come up with 3 to 5 bullet points for your goal, you can break those each down into 3 to 5 more bullet points, and you can break it down as granular as you need it to be. And that's what I do with a lot of the content of the 3-Gun Show is like, okay, well, we want to have this piece of epic content. Well, what does that consist of? It's going to consist of these shots here, it's like, okay, well, where do I need to be to make those happen? Who do I need to get to make those happen? You know, what kind of equipment do I need to make that happen, and things like that. So that's another example there. I want to touch on something you just said briefly, was that if you look at this as a hobby and you're not out there hard charging for the top 10, that's totally cool too. And maybe you have entirely different goals. Like, I want to meet more people when I go to a match. I want to talk with more people. I want to squad with people I don't know and stuff like that. So, Amax is a super competitive guy. I've come to find out that I'm a pretty competitive guy too. So if you don't identify with our specific goals, just think about this in the context of your own world and how you look at 3-gun or competitive shooting, period.
Right. And, I think maybe a lot of people listening to the show are newer or haven't been around for a while. Some of the gray hairs, the boomers would probably think I haven't been around for a while, but you're also kind of getting a snapshot in time. I've been in the sport 10 years. Dave, I don't know, how long have you been in the sport?
It's let's see, what year is this? It'll be 9 years this year.
Okay. So, you're basically looking at us about a decade into a hardcore addiction or obsession that we've, somehow turned into a career. But we were still these people, or at least I was still this person, this goal-oriented person at year 1 and year 2.
Yeah.
My goals look very different now than they did back then.
Dude, I remember when my goal was shoot a match. I can in my head picture my 3 guns lying on the ground and me putting boxes of ammo next to them, making sure I had everything to go shoot a match, and that was my very first one, and it was exciting. So I think just shooting a match, going to shoot a club match, or shooting a major match are even, goals that are easy, not easy, but those are something worthwhile writing down.
Right. I mean, early on, a lot of my goals centered around I'm going to break my own rule, but not having problems. Okay. Working through the equipment issues of I have a sling, but it's the wrong one. Mm-hmm. I have, I need it. I have magazines, but I don't have a 20-round magazine, showing up at the thing where everybody had the one thing, the little doodad, oh yeah, you don't have your cinch 20-round magazine. Oh, that sucks. I kind of wanted to get through all of that.
Yeah.
Early on, there were a lot of matches where we had to use slings. It was a stressor of how are you going to carry all this equipment and then get to it? I don't worry about that anymore. But at the time, that was a big deal.
I tell you what a big deal for me was and this was a goal that I had for a long time, was get all my slug hits. And now that that's not really a factor, I don't think about it that much anymore. I'm not freaked out when I go to a stage. I don't think about it when I go to a match. I just load up all the slugs I need and I go. Maybe I'll do a little bit of practice, not nearly as much as I should because it's a buck around, but that was a significant goal I had for a long time, was get all slug hits. And now being 9 years into it, 10 years into it, it seems okay, that Dave, worked. So this Dave doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And so that's a way to think about it.
Within the part-time.
Yeah.
That was a big goal for a long time, especially at big matches. And and I go through some of that now. There's a new shooter in my life. So she's super competitive too. She gets super frustrated if she times out on a stage. It's this is your second match. This is your first major match. You shot Trigun as your first major match. You're gonna time out. It was inevitable. It was gonna happen. It's not your fault. But you jumped into a deep pool. But so she's shooting on a squad with a bunch of people. You can imagine who were squatted with at matches like this. So she's holding herself in kind of this really dramatic comparison. It's well, you're on a different level. Your goals are in a different place. than necessarily some people shooting at the pro level. So it's just kind of squaring your goals with where you're at and where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree.
So with that, maybe let's get into some of these goals here, because Dave and I have promised that we're going to get this done in a concise amount of time.
Yeah.
Which is hard for us.
This
is our goal. Our goal is to do this podcast. Dave has given us a hard out.
I have. And
so number one,
Amax and I like to talk. So you go first, Amax. You're the guest. So what do you got first for a goal?
You did me like that.
I did.
My first goal, my biggest goal for this year is to go to matches prepared, to feel prepared for a match.
I'm going to write that down.
I'm very fortunate that I get to go to a lot of matches. I get to shoot a lot, and I get to go to a lot of big matches. But at the same time, it's not contrary to popular belief, my job is not to shoot 3-gun. So like a lot of times I get to go, but I'm like rolling in hot off of something else, shooting it, and then I'm going on to the next thing. I'd never, in 2019, I don't know that I ever showed up to a match feeling prepared.
Yeah.
For a match. It was always like, all right, I kind of threw my stuff together, hoped I had everything I needed, got on the plane, showed up, and like was hoping for the best. You know? Zero dry fire for real, not like that BS no dry fire that other people claim. Like really no dry fire, just like residual skills and the equipment that I had, which is good equipment, but like I hadn't picked it up since the last time I shot a match. It might have been a club match. But rolling into matches unprepared bothered me this year, and that's something I'm definitely going to try and square away for next year, to at least mentally get in place. Like, all right, there's a match coming up. Let's do some reps on something. You know, I don't want to come in cold. That's probably my biggest goal for this year is the mindset of getting ready and feeling prepared when I show up in a match.
Yeah, that's a really good one, Amax. I love that. And I think it's one of those like blessing and a curse kind of thing. You start to be able to shoot more matches, and then you become less and less prepared for each of them. Whereas if you have one major match the whole year that you're going to shoot, now you're prepared because you've been looking forward to that for months.
Yeah, exactly. One of Ruben's favorite quotes is, as our friends get into the industry, is like, "Well, get ready not to shoot very much anymore."
Oh,
like,
for sure.
So like, and that's kind of the, I lost my train of thought there, but like,
practice.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. So like my goal for last year, for 2019, I wanted to get coined pro again. I was pro in the Pro Series and the 3-Gun Nation Pro Series. Once there was a pro classification in UML, I wanted to get that as well, and it slipped through my fingers in 2018. A last stage of the last day on the last war. Oh wait, that's Pat. But it slipped through my fingers in 2018, so it was definitely a goal for 19. And I had plenty of chances to do it, but the time that I got it, the time that I did it was the very last match of the year, when I squared myself and said, "This is your last chance to do this year. You got to get 90%, or it's just going to hang over you all winter until next year." And so it wasn't much, but I did take out my shotgun one time and practice reloads for 15 minutes. It was literally that brief. It was literally all right, just do a little bit of dry fire so that your first mag change in the last month isn't on the clock. And I think that was the difference. It wasn't a skill set difference. I didn't magically learn how to load better, but the mindset of matches coming, seek preparation, arrive prepared. That's probably my biggest one going into 20.
That's a good one, man. I like that a lot. So for me, going into 2020 here, one of the things that I want to do is find the
the happiness in shooting that I once did, like when I started, like, you know, where you're like super pumped and eager to go and you can't sleep the night before. For me, I've shot so much and you know, this is a woe is me moment, but you know, I've shot so much in the last 3 years that I feel like they've all kind of blended together, and I'm looking back and like, okay, well, what matches did I shoot this year? What matches did I shoot the year before? What year was it that I shot that? And I want to have more distinct memories. So I'm going to do less quantity, more quality in shooting this year. And I mean, I've said that each year for like the last 3 years, but this year I'm definitely going to do it. But I'm going to be more selective about the matches I shoot, not because they're not great matches, or not because, you know, I don't like going to other parts of the country and meeting people and everything, but because specifically, like, I want to go shoot, I want to perform well, and I want to create great content for the show. And a lot of those are competing interests a lot of the time. So, yeah, so less matches, going and shooting novel things, different things that maybe I haven't shot before, and finding that happiness for shooting again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, and I kind of observing you over the years, I think, yeah, I think a really good goal for you this year is to find your way back to that, because it is easy to get lost in some of this stuff, especially when you're as passionate, or probably maybe even more passionate about the show than you are about shooting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you know, being plugged in so much to the community and everything, you know, you get to see all the weird arguments and fights on Facebook and stuff like that, and you know too much about matches and stuff, and it kind of takes away some of the mystery, you know, like you see the man behind the curtain, you're like, that guy's not really fun.
When before all you wanted to do is see the man behind the curtain, like, who's back there? What's he doing?
Now I just I want to be
kind of like, I wish I didn't know.
Yeah, it's like why didn't I just take that blue pill, you know?
It's 100% the blue pill syndrome.
But no, I don't know. There's no reason to feel sorry for me or anyone else for the choices I made. But the point is, like, get back to the happiness. And you know, I was talking to Scott McGregor on Instagram recently, and I was telling him how, you know, I'm setting goals, and one of the goals I had was a pretty lofty goal, and he's like, man, just enjoy the process. And then he started talking about people that he shot with that, you know, are no longer with us. And he's like, if I would have just taken a step back and realized what was happening at the time, you know, I would have been much, much happier than trying to always shoot better, faster, more, and stuff like that. So enjoying the process, I think, I think is something
Absolutely.
interesting.
And you know, kind of perspective, playing off of something you said there, like a lot of people who listen to the show know I put on a match. And match is named after someone who's not with us here anymore.
Yeah.
I have one picture with both of us in it from shooting.
That's crazy.
There's, you know, it's like, man, on the day where you're at the place with the flowers, it's like, man, I was too busy to just take it in just a little bit. You don't realize the process along the way. I mean, the golden years of 3-gun for me are gone now, and a lot of it's club matches.
Club matches. That is where it's at.
And people who are now still in the sport, people who are shooting even at the pro level, but they've also, you know, grown in their lives and things too. So, you know, they're just busy. They're still in 3-gun, but they're not. You know, when we were in our early 30s and late 20s, it was easier to road trip to a match. You know, we all piled into one pickup truck, and 5 of us, and drove 5 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours somewhere. That doesn't happen anymore. Now, you know, I won't use names, but, you know, they've matured in their careers. Like, their time is more valuable now. They have kids, they have family. Like, they're going to a match, but they're flying in. And they're leaving as soon as it's over.
Well, that's like, you know, I tell people all the time,
is,
I try to like reset people's OODA loop, especially the friends that we have. Like, hey, these are the good old days right now. Like, we are making them right now. So enjoy this. enjoy this for what it is, you know?
Right. I mean, and that's why, like, we talk about volunteerism sometimes. That's why I volunteer at some of these matches, because those are some of the best times that I've had, was being involved with those people in that way, with that event. There's absolutely a better way to do better at the match. Shoot it as a competitor, but that's not the most valuable interpersonal experience that you can have.
Yeah, for sure.
Necessarily. So
yeah, I find that the more I focus on my game, the less social I am, because I'm
100%
all up in my head.
Absolutely.
It's like,
Absolutely.
have you ever met a guy named Match Amax? He's a guy named
No, who's that?
This guy named Adam Maxwell, and he's got his match face on, and you just gotta wait till the shooting's over to laugh and joke with him.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Super serious. But all right, man.
Not that I don't mean to be mean or anything, but it's like, yeah, you know, the mindset, your focus, like, all right, you know,
oh, yeah.
we're doing this right now.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You know, I'm back in a minute.
Absolutely. All right, so let's.
All right.
We got one down, and we're killing a bunch of time. So let's run through the rest of your goals here, and let's hit the highlights.
All rapid fire?
Yeah, go rapid fire, buddy.
Okay, well, I got a couple that are kind of related, and they build into my first goal. The next goal that I wrote down was reloads. I wanna stick reloads. Like, it was something I used to be really good at. And just when I was dry firing all the time, and then I got away from dry firing, and then magically the reloads got sloppy. But all right, now pay attention, you out there. Everybody on Instagram sucks at reloads right now. Every single one of you, except maybe Joe Farewell. But everybody now shooting pistols, they all roll their pistol outboard. They do the Costa mag flip.
Yep.
Everyone in 3-gun is doing it. Stop it. Stop it right now.
Yeah, James Gill gave me a hard time for that one for a long time. And I was like, bro, the mag doesn't come out of my Glock. I got to do that, or it doesn't come out. Like, I literally have to shake it out of the gun. And he's like, well, that's an equipment problem. I'm like, I know what it is, bro, but stop giving me shit for it.
I just feel like if you rewind 3 years ago in 3-gun, like, the reloads were tighter. And maybe it's an evolution of the game too. Like, your reloads are not as important in the game as they used to be.
Yeah, that very well could be. I remember watching Casanova reload, you know, and he's a GM, a pistol GM, and like that for me was the benchmark.
Yeah, but like, reloads have gotten sloppy. Mine in particular, that's a big goal for me for 2020. Clean that up a little bit.
All right.
And then the other one too, that's going to kind of, it goes back to being prepared. And mindset, but I'm the guy, I throw at least one FTE a match for sure. It's terrible. My name's Adam, and I have a problem.
I have a problem counting targets.
Yes, I do. And it's part of that like whirlwind of like, you just blew in on the breeze to this match, and you showed up and you're shooting, and then you're already got your mind on the next thing that you're doing, you know, in life. So somewhere along the way in a match, except the last one of the year, last year, when I was really upset about this, you know, it always gets me somewhere. So I definitely am. I broke my own rule. I wrote it down on the thing as no FTEs, but my goal for 2019 is to shoot all the targets.
Good one.
And then kind of the final one is I think, this is a big one to say out loud. I think I'm at a place where I can say this. I was digging through trophies the other day because I moved recently, and I was unpacking the last of the boxes. And I saw how many matches I won in limited in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I had that moment of, man, that was awesome. So I want to win a major match in 2020. That is also, that's probably the loftiest of the goals, but I'm consistently top 10, top 5, 85, 90 percentile
in open,
which means in open, not practicing for real. So that means I'm within striking distance if I put my head down and focus on it a little bit more. And so before God and everyone here, I'm going to try and win a match in open in 2020.
Dude, good for you. Good for you. That is a great goal. And with as stacked as freaking open is right now, and even like all the, oh my God, everybody's moving to open. Good for you, buddy. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, at least give us something to talk about for a year.
I know. Was there like 60 guys in open at Fort Benning? I think that's what I saw.
Yeah, that seems correct. I must admit I don't really pay attention to
It was
Benning.
52, 62, or 72, so I'm split in the middle and going 62. But there's just a ton of people in open right now, so good for you, man.
Yeah, the equipment's really improved, and I think that there's just a lot of vibe going on there right now. So I mean, again, that's probably like saying you want to win a match in TO 3 years ago. Like, I mean, that's a big goal.
Yeah, for sure.
But I feel like I'm within striking distance on that one, so I feel it's attainable. So that's what I'm going to try and do. But
I like it. And that is that your last goal there?
It's the last personal shooting goal. But let's talk about yours.
Okay.
Get to the last one.
So in mine, since I am going to be reeling back the major match travel, I'm going to hit the club matches hard, and that is going to make me shoot other stuff. So I'm going to shoot some handgun matches, some PCC matches, precision matches, whatever I can get my hands on under the I guess practical shooting realm. So that's one of my goals there. And then I have noticed a deficiency in my long range shooting in 3-gun matches. So long range shooting in 3-gun, we consider 200 yards and out. So 200 to 500, 550, whatever it is, 475. 440 has always been my nemesis. I have no idea why. I got to fix that. But the level of my expectations have gone up and my performance has not. So I need to raise my performance or lower my expectations. I refuse to accept any less for myself, so I need to raise my performance. And so long range shooting in 3-gun is something I'm going to work on. And then, along with that is shooting more long range with the LRP-07 and 6.5 Creedmoor I have, because, those are skills that can complement each other. So bringing up the long range game. And then, I'm sorry. Do you have something to say?
How are you going to quantify the long range?
How am I going to quantify? Oh, that's right. We did talk about this. So quantify is I want to go 1-for-1 on long range arrays in a match, and I would say, like Vortex Shooter Source is the place to try that one out, because they put out a huge long range array. But I would say like first round hits, man. Just throwing 10 rounds at it and hoping for a hit doesn't cut it.
Yeah. What your baseline for acceptability is 0 misses.
Yeah.
On the clock.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
I mean, yeah, like I want to go into a long range stage and I want to go for 5 targets. I want to put 5 rounds down there, because that's what I see other people doing it. It can be done. I want to do that. So I don't know, maybe
pretty awesome.
Yeah, it does look pretty awesome, but I don't know, maybe that's a lofty goal and I should give like a variance of 10 to 20%, but no, I'm just going to say 1-for-1 on long range. So
I would definitely track it. I mean, because a lot of people a lot of people have that goal. If you were to ask a lot of people, they would be like, "Oh, I want to do better at long range." Okay, what does that mean to you? And then how are you going to track getting better? So like when you go back and look at match video, video your long range, even though it's boring video, but if when folks set a goal like that, I'm picking on it because it's a common one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, go back and how many misses did you have? What's your hit percentage on a long range stage in a match, and track it throughout the year. Track beginning of the season to end of the season. and how your practice plays into it in the meantime. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely a solid goal. But since a lot of people are probably going to pick that one, like, track it, because you're not going to progress down that line unless you track it.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
That's a really good point. Maybe I'll make up like some note cards for myself with number of shots and number of hits or something like that. Also,
and if it were me, I'd even break it down by yardage. So your hit percentage, your hit percentile inside of the 300-yard area, hit percentile within 400, hit percentile within 500.
That's a great idea.
Because I think if it's your goal, so set it. But like if if you're going to a match like Shooter Source and you're like, I want to go 1 for 1 on all the long range, well, there's going to be a 500-yard target there.
Mm-hmm.
Is one miss acceptable on a 500-yard target in Texas? I kind of think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is 100% hit probability like a reasonable and even probably mandatory goal, at the higher levels for 300-yard shots? Yes. I mean, you can't miss 300-yard targets and win.
Yeah. A lot of times you'll have like a 500-yard target that's a full-size IPSC, and then a 440-yard target that's like a 12 or 14-inch plate, and so like I kind of, it's funny because like
engineers out there would base it on target size too.
Yeah, I don't want to get that deep in the weeds, but what I'm saying is like a lot of times like the 500-yard target doesn't bother me that much, but the the smaller ones that are closer do.
Right.
So
that's why I would quantify it if you're going to chase that goal into yardage percentile per yardage range.
I think that's
also squaring your skill set.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I'm gonna need a spreadsheet. If you're listening to this and you're good at spreadsheets, go ahead and make me one, and thank you, please and thank you. But yeah, that's a really good one. I'm gonna have to put something like that together, and then I'm also thinking, now that you're making me measure it, some repeatable practice drills, that I can put on the clock with number of hits and time, and then mark the progress on that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, especially a lot of the personalities that you're looking to emulate, they had really good, and they weren't fancy drills, but they did them. So it's it's a quick get into position, take one shot. Get into a position, take one shot. The thing that bugs me about long range, or the reason that I use it as an excuse not to set that as my goal, is like it's so situational. So if you have a place to practice that kind of thing, you could get really good at shooting long range at that place. But that place usually has unique characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
Winnequa, the wind blows a certain way. At your range in Texas, the wind blows a certain way. In Forest Lake, the long range is very much sheltered by trees. So it's like shooting in a vacuum almost.
Yeah.
So like it's the reason it bothers me is because it's a hard thing for the average Joe to practice. So I see a lot of people setting themselves up for failure on that goal because they aren't going to measure it, and two, they don't have a plan for how they're going to attack it. And it's one of the few things in the sport that you can only learn by pulling the trigger on live ammo, and it's expensive live ammo. So it's hard. My hat's off to you.
Well, that is something I want to do. Like I personally, when I look at the three skills that we I guess the three disciplines that we play in: rifle, pistol, and shotgun. I place a lot of emphasis on being a rifleman. Like being a rifleman to me, makes me stand up straighter. When I call myself a rifleman. And being a pistolero is cool as shit, right? And the when you watch like JJ Ricazza or Shane Coley like attack a stage, you're just damn. But for me, and maybe it's because I grew up in the American West of Colorado, but being a rifleman is something that I hold in high regard. So I want to live up to my own expectations on that. All right.
I guess I'm gonna add one to my list too.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was Matt or if it was James on the show. But like where Dave's talking about hits at long range, mine I think is to pick good positions. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of crappy shooting from bad positions.
Yeah.
And even if I don't hit it the first time or the second time, I want to end up in the right spot with the right position. That's so important in open, having the right bipod and having a bag. If the equipment application to it is just as important as the position selection. And that really separates it there. So I think a goal from me in 2020 is also is ending up in the right position, be it footwork. I guess that's another one. Or on barricades and stuff like that, getting there efficiently and ending up in the right spot without having to make an adjustment.
Yeah, I look at like my last year, and I shot a lot with James Gill, and I'm very fortunate because he goes into like an instructor type role, which I thoroughly enjoy because everything he says is like incredibly valuable. But this year I've really had it hammered into my head of like going prone when you can, and in years past I would have taken like a knee or double knee and leaned on something that I've just gone prone. And man, if you can get better at getting up and getting down, which of course there's a specific exercise for that, it's called a burpee, then that's the way to go, and it's the most stable position. And I've spent a lot of time looking for those prone opportunities this year that I haven't in years past, and it's been really beneficial. So yeah, 100% on finding that proper position.
Yep. And that, I guess I'm going to carry one of my goals from 19 that's going to carry over because I'm not happy with where I'm at is, like we're saying, going along with positions is footwork. Mm-hmm. Like when I watch video of myself, all I see is crappy footwork. And I think I became aware of that with the popularity the last 2 years of the U.S. team's participation in the World Shoot. Mm. So when we were watching Josh and Scott go after the shotgun championship, that match is huge on footwork because the round count's so low and the positions are tight. And then even, we followed people who participated in the world shoot, the rifle shoot this year. I was watching like the videos of Riley and Dakota. I mean, footwork is so huge in those. And then so I became aware of it. And then now when I watch videos, I am super aware of the inefficiencies of my movement and the footwork of ending up in the right spot and then getting going again and stopping and getting going again and stopping in the right places, because that costs so much time. If you have to, the bullets always run faster than you do, but at some point you do have to run. And getting in the right spot is definitely a goal for 2020 as well. When I watch a video of myself, I'm always critiquing that, the drop steps and the shuffle steps and acceleration, deceleration, things like that. Yep.
Another good goal. Maybe we should just put both of our lists together and make one big ass goal list for us both here. So
were we not?
I have two more here that I want to cover. So we've been talking about volunteerism, and I've been trying to look at ways that I can volunteer that would still make me happy. So one of the things that we're going to do, so a couple years ago we did the Big Ben Blast and Dash at Ben Lamont Gun Club in Rama, Colorado. And it was a ton of fun. So it was a 5K running gun. We did it a 3-gun style, so you had all 3 guns for the match. 8 stages, and you had to run to each of them. You do obstacle course in between stuff. So my pal Mike called me up and he's like, "Hey, we need to move this thing to the summer because last year we almost got snowed out, or the first year we almost got snowed out. So we're bringing it back for 2020. June 13th is when we're doing it. 5K only, and we're going to do a 2-gun and a PCC division in that. So coming back as co-match director, and I'm pretty pumped to be able to do that. So that's my big volunteering thing for the year that I'm going to do. And I'm really excited about it because that match was a lot of fun. The people that went really enjoyed it. And to see, 80 to 90 smiling faces who are really excited and just, really, really made it worth it. So we have an awesome crew. Everybody's coming back, and we're going to do that one. So that's my happiness right there. And then my final one, this is kind of a longer term goal. So I've been chatting with Lan Win of Dissonant Arms, and we were talking about the 2021 IPSC World Shoot that's going to be in Florida, and it's a PCC World Shoot. So, he's into that for obvious reasons. Dissonant Arms now makes really cool PCCs, and so I thought, well, I would like to have a world shoot, I guess, under my belt, to say that I went to a world shoot, to say that I shot against the best in the world. So that is a goal for me, 2021. And so I guess this year, the things that I can do are trying to figure out like what that's going to look like, what it would take to get there, financial wise, like how can I qualify for it? What are the things I need to do to make sure that I qualify for it? I might have to shoot some USPSA area matches in pistol or PCC. Like, I don't know. Like the whole thing is like explore the process, figure out what it takes to be able to go to the world shoot. And since I don't have to get a passport and I don't have to fly across the ocean, it seems like a really cool thing to do.
Sounds like a really cool idea for a show.
Yeah, actually, that does sound like a really cool idea for a show. I got to figure out like what gun I want to shoot too. Like I've already got the Tavor PCC in 9mm. Could do a JP GMR 15. Could do something else. I don't know.
Yeah, you got yourself a conundrum there.
I know.
Got a lot of alliances and a lot of platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we'll figure out what that looks like and try to track that down. So that's my goal. So for 2021, I want to shoot the PCC IPSC World Shoot, and so I got to figure out how to do that. So, I think that covers all the stuff that I have on my list for me. How about for you?
All right, so I got one more. I'm addicted to 3-gun. I love it so much that it hurts. And
Samesies.
I got involved, not just as a shooter, but as an event promoter and coordinator too. So that's a big part of my passion too. I think I've said this before, I've given up some performance to move the ball forward and to like create this place, this sport that we participate in.
Well, I can relate to that, man. Like you were talking about how like sometimes I place more emphasis on the podcast than I do on my own shooting. It's like, yeah, dude, like we're trying to build something greater for the community than just ourselves.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, why do we come on the show so much? Like, it's because if we didn't come on the show, there wouldn't be a show. Like you gotta make shows to have shows. And same thing with matches. So my goal for 2020, I am involved in several matches. I'm very privileged that I can be involved at a high level of several events. And I want to I want to sell out those events. I want to make events not from a financial standpoint of wanting to sell them out, but I want to put on events that people want to go to. I've put on events in the past that were like a good idea that I wanted to do, and then like 10 people showed up. Channeling the energy towards new and interesting events that people want to go to is a big goal for me. So, the ones I'm involved with this year, the Jeff Kirkwald Memorial, Wisconsin State 3-Gun Championship. It's not my event, but I'll work it. Is the Tri-Gun. and then also the Vortex Extreme. And the Vortex Extreme in particular, that's kind of a new direction or an emerging event, and it's back bigger and badder than last year, and really looking to grow that out more into something cool that people want to come out to. So my goal for this year is the events that I'm involved with is to put on events that draw a lot of people, and to try and find the pulse of the shooters and put on the events that they want to shoot. So
yeah. So all those matches I've shot, and they're all great. I'll be back for JKM this year, of course, and we're gonna make it bigger and badder. We're gonna have more people, and we're gonna have a bigger shoot off, and it's gonna be a great time.
Yep, probably more driving while shooting too.
What? Yep. So that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to coming along with it. And the Vortex Extreme was a kick in the pants, dude. That was like such an awesome match. I'll be.
What? Say it's the funnest event that I don't shoot.
Yeah. What date is it this year? Do you know?
It's the same week as last year. I think it's August 10th.
August 10th. Okay. Yeah, that was a good one.
I know it's about a week and a half of my life. That's about all I know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's.
But I'm really excited about that one because we started doing the Trekker. I think we've done shows on the Trekker in the past that I was doing up in Minnesota. Life moved on, and I moved out of that area, so that match doesn't exist anymore. But part of that interest is what that came around about the same time as Rock Hard. So that was a big match. And then also the tactical games, that vein of interest is present in those matches as well. And then the Extreme came at it from another angle of like this I don't know, a match that's a journey.
Yeah. Because
I was just watching the Ayrsburg Rodeo again, the Red Bull Ayrsburg Rodeo, which is a motorcycle race in Austria.
Yeah.
I was just watching the most recent version of that, and it just got me excited about it all over again. Like that, if you go find it, it's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. But that type of event, the way Red Bull puts those events, these one-off events, like way over the top, like that is my goal for events like the Extreme. And the Kirkwall is like the one thing that the unique event that you can only do one place one time a year, and everybody wants to be a part of it. Like that's well, and they are my passion.
They are unique too. Like the Kirkwall, you shoot it's a 3-gun match. You shoot 4 stages the first day, and that seeds you into a bracket where the second day you match up and you shoot off. And you whittle it down to one winner in each division. And then the Vortex Extreme is also a unique match. It's like a 9-mile hike with 8 stages of long-range precision shooting in there. And it's not like, clean and clinical precision shooting where you have like bags strapped to you and everything. Like you got to carry everything you need for the match. And you're using a lot of land and terrain features. Maybe that's the same thing. But hills and rocks and dirt flying in your face when you're shooting and stuff like that. It was a really great match. It was a lot of fun, and it's in the beautiful mountains of Wyoming.
Yes, there's some voices that want to move it to a more hospitable location, and we specifically hold it there because, like, if you wanted to touch the Vortex website, like the branding and the catalog and stuff, like it's even the same color.
Yeah,
but like,
I guess you could move it to a golf course.
That one, yeah. Like, the cool thing about that one is I don't know that there are very many places now that you can sign up and have an adventure. Like,
yeah.
It's guaranteed adventure. Like, stuff that you can only do in virtual reality now or on paper you're having an adventure, but really it's been diluted down for tourists. Like that one's it's inevitable to have an adventure. I hauled 3 people out of there with medical emergencies. Like it's the backcountry. It's the real environment. It's a real 3D place. And it's certainly doable, but nobody gets through and is bored.
It's definitely not the square range, the quote unquote square range kind of thing.
Definitely not the square range. It's not even the flat range.
No, not even. All right, buddy. We got like 10 minutes left here, so let's run down. If someone's listening to this and they're like, I'd love to make goals for 2020. I don't know what kind of goals I need to do. The whole puzzle of 3-gun is so big that I'm not quite sure where to start or anything. I got some suggestions, and I know you have some suggestions too there, so I'll run down mine here. So I think a good goal is go shoot a match if you haven't shot it before. If you listen to this show and you have not yet made it to your first club match, go do it. Get it together. Don't wait till you have all the equipment. Don't wait till you have your muzzle brake. Don't wait till you have that good trigger. Go now. And find someone that can mentor you through the process. Just talking to the match director is going to be a good resource for that. They'll be able to point you in the right direction. But we want you to be a part of this, and we want you out there shooting with us. So here's your permission slip. Go shoot. If you have shot a bunch of club matches and you have not yet shot that major match, go shoot a major match. I highly recommend shooting a big match, something that's 2 days or 3 days. It will blow your mind how much fun it is and how much ammo you get to shoot, and the camaraderie that you create with your squad, and just the insane stages that you get to shoot. You will absolutely love it, and it'll make you a better person. Now, if you've shot a bunch of 3-gun, been there, done that, I recommend shooting a discipline that you haven't shot before, just like we were talking about the Vortex Extreme. Shooting super long range stuff this year, over 1,000 yards with a 6.5 Creedmoor has really humbled me in the true sense of the word, not in the weird sense of the word that everyone's using these days. But it definitely gives you a new appreciation for the gear and for what other people do. So I recommend shooting a different discipline. And then something, the last one I have here is something that you mentioned there, AMAX, is shoot a division that you haven't shot before. So if you've only ever shot limited, maybe borrow a scope from a buddy, or invest in a good scope and go shoot TAC, or maybe see if a buddy can lend you some open gear and go play an open for a little bit. Or if you've only shot open, go shoot limited. Shooting in different divisions is a lot of fun and something that I really enjoy. So
I think that's especially important if you feel like you're stuck in a rut.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm a big believer in cross training and things like that, on different disciplines and different platforms, like Dave's saying. And if you feel like, if you've been focused so hard on a division and you just feel stuck, like Dave's saying, if you jump into another division, that's just like a big giant reset button.
Yeah.
And you're going to struggle because you're learning a new division, but you're also probably going to have some epiphanies that will carry over if you jump back, or will carry you forward in that new division. And
for me, the struggle and the novelty is what I enjoy. That's why I like, that's why I really enjoyed doing the precision matches with the LRP07 this year, and the sniper match that we shot. And it's why I want to make the 2021 IPSC World Shoot a goal. So I like new and I like novel things, and definitely switching up divisions does that. And if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, I like to take a few club matches of the year and throw that Spitfire on there and shoot them in limited, which does, like you said, a mental reset, and really enjoy that one. So, AMAX, you got any suggestions for goals if people out there are struggling to find their own?
My suggestions are twofold. One, look at, if you're already shooting the sport, like Dave said, even if it's for a short time, look back at your scores from last year, your placings, and you just kind of reflect on that, and that will kind of square your perspective on where you want to go. But for setting goals, I would say what's carried me the longest is, where's your pain? Like when you go to the doctor, where does it hurt? And from there, it's like, okay, well, in the sense of a game, where's your pain? So what shortcomings bother you the most, and pick the one that bothers you the most. What does success in that look like? What are the 3 to 5 things you have to do to get better at that? Once you wrap your arms around that, what's the next? What hurts the next most? Pick that thing. And you'll find if you take them one at a time and work on them, they'll get to be smaller and smaller things. But it's just a matter of you don't have to make it a big thing. It's very simple. I just sat through a meeting here in real life for this kind of stuff, and that's what they say. Like, don't overcomplicate it. If you're thinking about it too hard, you're already off track. Just where is your struggle now, and what does success at that look like, and then plot the course to succeed in that. So it's just a matter of self-reflection, and then making a plan and executing it, just like shooting a match.
Yeah, I like it. And then, keep in mind that, if you set a goal and you don't achieve it, don't beat yourself up on it. Don't go on a 3-day bender or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's very likely
how close did you come?
Well, not only that, but it's very likely that you've also learned skills along the way that can help you in other areas, so you may have not quite achieved that goal, but if, like, as we started this conversation, if you set out to improve your long range game and you didn't get to 1-for-1 on long range targets, but now you've cut your round count in half on long range, that's still a significant improvement. And so you've done the things that necessary to get you to a better place, even though you didn't achieve your goal. You're now in a better place than where you started.
Yeah, life isn't pass fail. So, evaluate how, where you're at. And even though it's short of where you want it to be, evaluate, well, what got you there that far? And then, then you're going to reset your goal setting process on what closes the gap.
Absolutely. All right, hey Max. Well, this has been a lot of fun setting goals and thinking about 2020 and making plans and stuff like that. So I really appreciate your time and for putting in the work beforehand and opening it up and sharing your goals with the Three Gun Show audience. Want to give you, I don't do this often. I'm going to give you a final thought or final piece of advice, just a little moment here to share one last thing for people to take with them.
Oh, you want me to share one?
Yeah, have at it, buddy.
I was not expecting this.
I know. I apologize.
I mean,
I don't think we do this much.
Do you want me to go first? Yes.
Okay. I would say, my big thing is, volunteer at a match in any role that you think that you can help out with someone. If it's dragging out steel, or if it's fixing a broken target, or running a match's social media, or being a prize table coordinator, whatever it is, if there's something that you can do and you can help out with a match, they always need your help. And if you're thinking about, like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we started up this match? The calendar is really full right now. So think about how you can contribute to another match before you start your own. And, I don't want to discourage anyone from doing cool stuff, but it is a very full calendar right now. So let's see how we can, instead of continuing to dilute the pool, we can raise up the matches that we have that are doing great things and make them excellent.
I feel very strongly about all that as well, but I'm not going to piggyback on that. So I would say going forward, if you're out there listening, I enjoy the world of 3-gun as much as I do shooting 3-gun. I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm so grateful that Dave lets me be a big part of the show. Like, be a part of the community as much as you are a part of the shooting. There's a lot of people who are passive in the sport and only tank, but like, we like the community and the conversation as much as we like the scores and the hits and the guns. So if you're out there, get in on the discussions on Facebook and the places where everyone interacts with each other, and contribute something to the sport as well. Contribute yourself to the sport as much as anything. I think Dave and I are about as passionate about that as we are about the shooting. So I really would encourage folks to participate in the conversation as much as they do in the shooting. Especially in this time with the way dynamics are around the Second Amendment and whatnot. We need to engage each other as a community to to further on the sport that we love and to the next level. So it's a nice place to hang out. So take your coat off and stay a while and talk with us.
And be nice.
Yeah, be nice. Don't be a dick.
All right, Amax. Always a great time, dude. Thanks again for doing it. I hope you achieve all your 2020 goals. If you're listening to this out there, we hope you achieve your 2020 goals, and we're here for you if you need us.
I can promise you that 2020 is going to be a very interesting year.
All right, folks. We'll see you on the range.
We'll see ya. Thanks
for listening to the 3 Gun Show. If you like this type of content, you can support us on a monthly basis for as little as $5 by subscribing on Patreon at 3gunshow.com/Patreon. That's Patreon. You can also give your business to the companies that support the 3 Gun Show, including Vortex Optics, IWI, and JP Rifles. Until next week, I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.